Sebastian. Welcome to Radionica, to the radio show Punto de Partida. Thank you for being part of the public radio in Colombia. So, first of all, we want to let you know that here in Radionica, we have the Radionica Top 25, in which weekly our listeners can vote for their favorite song. And Carolina was in that list for several weeks. How does that
Hey,
feel?
I knew that you guys were playing it, and I was super happy that it's connecting with the audience in Colombia. Colombia is so dear to my heart. I spent a year and a half living there in La Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, and yeah, I love it there, and I'm really happy that the listeners connect with that song. That's really makes me smile.
So, keeping in track on Carolina, the star of the lyric of the story is a Colombian woman, and it's pretty clear that the influence of rhythms like champeta and cumbia. Can you tell us the story behind that particular song?
Well, it's about Carolina, who's a real person. Was my girlfriend during that time that we were living out there, and she came to visit me in London afterwards as well. Sadly, we're not together anymore, but we're great friends, and we had an amazing experience together. And but the song isn't really like a love song necessarily. It's more about like a self-empowerment song, you know. It's a story that she always used to tell. You know, often people would ask, "Oh, how did you come and to be living here on the beach and like living in a hostel?" She was working at that hostel, and you know, she would tell people, "I used to have this job where I like had to wake up at 5 in the morning and then go in a car and drive 2 hours to work and then work all day and then come back and when it was already dark, and I would live for the Friday night and get drunk on the weekends, and then by Saturday I was hungover, and then Sunday I'd be preparing for work again." And just the cycle, which many people know about, you know, because it's the reality of life for so many people. And she managed to like break free of that. She sold her car, sold her, you know, got rid of her apartment and just moved to Buritaca to live and just be living a more natural life, I guess, on the beach, and like with less money but more happiness in her mind. So yeah, it just really inspired me, that story. So I was like, you know, kind of telling the story from when she made that decision, you know, like was making that decision. So it was kind of looking back in time a little bit, but yeah, to bring it into the present for the listeners. So yeah, that's the story of the song pretty much.
During the pandemic, Seb, you were interested in the sounds of Latin America, for example, bullerengue. How did you become so interested in those particular sounds? And what was like for the rest of the band to accept those rhythms and like to embrace them?
Well, we've been using like, I guess, some rhythms from Latin America and Africa for a while, you know, in the songs, and I guess being in Colombia, just naturally, like you just see more, you know, more people playing bullerengue, cumbia, champeta, you know, you hear all around in everywhere, you know, and reggaeton as well, and just like, and other, you know, loads of amazing music out there. So yeah, it felt quite natural. And I guess from before Colombia, I knew about it just from, there is quite a strong Colombian community in London, and they host ruedas of, you know, cumbia and bullerengue. So I knew like that style a little bit before, and yeah, but just being over there was really, you know, a different experience, and something that, yeah, the band were very happy to involve in the music because it just felt like natural for us.
Now let's talk about the upcoming album, like Plus. You have already launched 3 singles: Carolina, Manifest, and Love Street. So how did the idea of this whole concept came about? We can see in the lyrics that all the topics came around from love, self-empowerment, like you told me in Carolina, nature, spiritual embracement. So can you tell us something about that connection for this album?
I guess again, we've kind of had these like themes in our music like for a while, and yeah, it just felt like with such a long time since the last release, it's like bands, we live our own lives, our own spiritual journeys like everyone else, like while like work and music is going on, there's like other discoveries happening, and you try and, as a musician, or myself anyway, weave it into the music so it becomes, so the music isn't something separate from your life, it's just something that is a reflection and a kind of place where you can really like think about your life and how to, and music is therapy in itself, being able to like translate something in your life into something meaningful in a song. So yeah, just really enjoyed like focusing on the light, because it was a dark time for many people, and for us as well. Like I didn't see my family for a year and a half and different stuff like that, and many people lost their jobs and mental health issues from being separated, but also many positive things came out of it. I mean, I can't tell you how many people, and I'm sure for you the same, like who said, the pandemic was actually just what I needed, like it was something that like, you couldn't have predicted it, but it was like, it was good in some ways, not for everyone, of course, but so yeah, just and in the dark times of the world, and the corporate agendas and all this sort of stuff going on, and the governments and the mess that humanity is making, in many ways on the world, like we still think that we need to focus on more light, luz más, more light, and also plus light, add light, extra, like so yeah, that's where it came from. Yeah.
Now I want to inquire about the album cover. It shows like it has like a psychedelic and a spiritual influence. So I want to know who was in charge of the album art, like the cover, mm-hmm. and how did you to get to the final point of creativity, like at the point that you said, this is what we want?
Amazing artist who we discovered just on Instagram, to be honest, called Marcelo Pinel. He's from Brazil, and creates these amazing, I don't know if you've seen on our singles, there's like a moving version of the artwork, like on Spotify, like you press play and it's all moving digital artwork, and he does that, like on his Instagram, it's all these amazing colors and psychedelic sort of moving images, and so we just thought it would be really cool to have like a moving image for our artwork, and he also does a still version, so there's like the flat version. And yeah, with this one we saw some artwork. He was like, yeah, I'm up for doing the job, like cool, but what do you want, like, because he's got so many different styles. We kind of just told him roughly like what we wanted, and he had his own ideas, and we just gradually changed the idea till it became, because that's the beauty of digital, you can change it. Lots of our other artwork has been done by hand. It's like you can't do that, whereas with this, so it was a new experience for sure, just really like curating exactly like the elements we wanted to be in there. The circle of people sitting around the fire, I think that's an important part of my life, is sitting under the stars by a fire and playing music and just being in the moment, connecting with nature and connecting with people around you, not with digital technology. So yeah, it's nice to feel like the artwork is a reflection of what we're doing, and it has these Basque figures, the guys with the hats, who are like an important sort of figure in our mythology as a band. Like they were on our first album cover, and they're on this one. So yeah.
Now, listening to your albums, we see that you always take influences from different places. Now, it seems like there are no limits in terms of your creativity in the moment for creating music. Now, how does that process work for you as a band?
We have always like enjoyed like mixing genres. I guess it came from the beginning, like when we were like kind of ravers in London, like just going out electro, we loved all that sort of stuff, but also we played guitar, you know, and that was where we came from originally. It was more like folk and punk and guitar stuff, you know, so it was always kind of natural to us. It's like we're discovering all this new electronic music, but at the same time we had the roots like that. So yeah, that was the beginning of the mixing, and we found often like a song that sounded a bit cheesy or something in one genre could sound amazing in another. So we always experiment, you know, okay, how would this sound as a champeta song, or how would it sound as a electro song, or, you know, we try different beats and different styles and stuff. So yeah, it's just constant like experimentation really, and like and traveling a lot, which we love to do, and go to new places and hear new rhythms and try and incorporate, you know, some of those ideas into our music if it's suitable, if it's respectful of the culture as well.
Now that you mentioned the electronic music, we have seen in your past albums that electronic sounds have a lot of influence in your music. Now for this record, for this upcoming record, you worked with Ghost Culture. Now I want to know how that connection happened, and how was like the creative process working with him.
We're big fans of him. I discovered him in Colombia actually. Like I just heard like on, you know, in some bar, like there was a song and I was like, hey, this is good, like Shazam, and it was him, his stuff, that song Legwale, with the African artist, I forget his name, but the amazing beat and vibe to his stuff. And then we reached out through our management, and like just he was keen to like work on it. So yeah, it was a lot of back and forth really. Like he lives in the UK but a different area, so we just kind of sent stuff, ideas back and forth, and he was really like professional and really like creative with his approach. So like we were super stoked to work with him. Yeah.
With all this musical influence that we perceive from Colombia, specifically in this new album, can we assume or anticipate that you are coming to Colombia the next year?
I would love to come to Colombia. Like we love it there. It's just the most magical place, and I would love to be there with the band and to spend time with friends, you know, who I met over there, and new friends, I'm sure. Just so many amazing people, such a welcoming community of, you know, musicians and music, and just good times, like and yeah, I can't wait to be back, man. So hopefully fingers crossed, praying that we will we'll come out there. Yeah. You got a dust of the birds, they need to start, you're alone.